Hello everyone, and welcome to this month's YouTube collaboration with the creative design team, where we are showing you all things shaker elements. Some of the girls I know are working on scrapbook layouts and other projects. I'm going to show you some shaker cards with a little bit of a difference, using some stamped elements with some shaker elements as well. And I'd really love it if you can keep watching till the end of this video. I've got a bonus project to show you and also some exciting news. So let's get into what I'm creating today. You can see I've got this fabulous stamp and thin cuts. This is the fabulous special that's on right now with Close to My Heart, and I thought it would be fun to create a birthday card for a little person that I know who has his birthday on Halloween. And I'm going to do some colouring with this, and I'm just going to clear everything away. This stamp set comes with thin cuts, or you can choose to purchase it as a standalone, but I love using the thin cuts. And I've already gone ahead and I've stamped quite a few of these skeletons, but I'm going to colour these in a different way. Instead of colouring inside the lines, I'm going to colour outside the lines. I'm going to show you what I've done with the black marker. So the little trick with this that I'm doing, instead of colouring inside the lines, although I look like I'm colouring inside the lines here with his eye socket, I'm actually going to colour around the outside. So I'm basically colouring the negative space. I thought it would be fun to do this treatment to the skeletons, and you can see that I've got different colours that I've used. So the markers that I've used for this are the dark of the orange blend and the dark of the light green, and then I'm doing some black ones as well. So you only want to touch your tri-blend marker very gently, just with the little tip of it, around the pieces that are quite close together. But no one's really going to know if you go over the lines, especially when you're using a black marker. So I'm going to continue going all the way around the outside with these, but I also wanted to show you that I'm colouring inside the facial features here. So they will stand out, and then that will match this outside colouring that I'm doing as well. And also with the bottom part of his body, I'm colouring in these little joint areas, and then I'm going to colour outside. And where the two bones are together, I'm actually going to colour in between those and disregard the lines that you saw there. So I'm going to speed this process up so you don't have to watch all of the colouring in, and you can see what the end result of this is going to look like. So here's some that I prepared earlier, and you can see from this I've gone all the way around the outside. I've coloured the areas where the joints are, and I've also gone inside those areas here for his facial features, and also this little area here. So I've finished colouring a few of these in, and you can see why I've done this on top of a piece of white scratch paper, because you do need to go off the edge of it. So having that down just protects all the surfaces. Now I'm going to do a little bit of surgery to some of these skeletons. I thought it would be fun, because these are going to be part of the shaker elements, to actually cut some of these apart. So I'm going to go in between my black lines here and cut his head off, which I know sounds very gruesome, but it is a Halloween card. And then I'm just going to neaten these little sections up here. After doing a few of these, I decided that it was a bit tricky to cut in between the lines, so I'm actually going to colour over the top of these bones here so that I can separate these from the pelvis section. And it doesn't really matter if I mess up a little bit like I just did then. No one's really going to notice that as it's shaking around inside the card. But then what this gives me the opportunity to do is to make a few more sections that are going to shake around a little bit within my shaker element. Now I'm not going to do this to all of them. I'm going to leave a couple of them whole, but these look quite cute when they shake around inside the shaker card. So I've just trimmed off that edge there, and then I'm going to go back in with my black marker so that I can go over the edges of these white sections that are left from where I've cut. I'm going to be making a slimline shaker card. So I've got the slimline shaker window thin cuts, and I need this outside piece and also the shaker window foam and acetate. The beauty of using these with your shaker element for a slimline card is that you get the acetate already cut to size, and you also get the foam that's already cut to size as well. You can use this frame with our 3D foam tape, but having this is just so much easier. So what I need to do when I'm using these, I go around and I separate with my piercing tool. I just run along the edges to separate the sticky part of the frame from all the inside sections. So the good thing about these, I'm hoping you can see, you still get all of these foam squares that you can use on other projects, and you also get the strips across here that you can use as well. But by separating that, that's going to make it so much easier to take off. The other thing I want to mention with the acetate is it does have a protective film on it, and I just use a piece of washi tape and put that at the top, and I can peel that off. So those elements are all ready to go. And now I'm going to prepare the frame that I cut out. Now I have cheated a little bit. I did go ahead, I've run this through with black cardstock, and I've used my anti-static pouch to put that all the way around, Versamark ink, and I've stamped the cobweb at random places, turning it all the way around so that it covers the frame, and then I've white heat embossed that. But I thought I would show you how easy that is to do on a piece of white cardstock, because it's very hard to see when you're using Versamark ink on these, the stamping that's actually happening. So I'm just going to bring in my black ink, and you can see I'm just turning this around until I've got as much of this frame done as possible. I don't want to stamp it like this because then I will get this one long line. This is designed to go like on an outside bit of a frame or up the top edge of a scrapbooking layout, but by using it this way I can easily get my frame all covered in cobwebs. So I would continue around with that, using the Versamark ink to get this black frame, or you could have a white frame on top, whatever you like to do. You can see here I've got all of my skeletons all prepped and ready to go, and I'm going to bring in a slimline card base, and instead of putting all of these in to shake around, I thought it would be fun to adhere some to the actual card so they stay in place. So I'm just using a dot roller here, and I'm going all over this. Whatever doesn't stick to the actual piece that I've got here just comes off onto the all-purpose mat. And I'm just going to adhere a couple of these around so that they don't shake at all. And the reason why I'm covering the whole entire area is so that pieces don't get stuck down underneath. I know when I put this card together, I'm actually going to put one of these pieces on the top. So I'm mindful of where that's going to go on my card, and it'll have the little happy birthday coming out the side of it. So I just want to make sure that I have a couple of these all down in place on the card base. And I'm also making sure that I'm coming in enough from the sides so that when I put my foam on here, they're not going to go over the top of that. I want it to be nice and smooth. And by leaving this gap around, none of the elements should escape. If you've watched me create a shaker card before, you know I bring in my Score Pal. You can do this with a MISTI or a stamping platform as well. I like having this. It helps me align everything up. So now what I can do is remove the protective piece from this foam, and then I'm going to simply push that up into the corner and put that down on top of the card base. I'm going to give that a very firm press. I really want the adhesive to stick really, really well. And then I can peel off this carrier sheet and bend this back, and you can see all the little squares are going to remain onto that carrier sheet. So I can just bring that up like this. I'm just doing this slowly and easing them up so they all stay where they're supposed to. and I've got my first layer of foam tape, and I have all of these lovely gorgeous squares to use on other projects. Now to give this a little bit more height, because I'm going to introduce paper elements to this, I am going to adhere some more foam tape to this. Now you could put another one of these slimline frames on top of that, so the foam, you double that up, but I've actually run out of the outside pieces, so I'm just going to use our regular 3D foam tape and put that all the way around on top of what I've got here. Now I'm not pulling too tight because I don't want to warp the top of my card. And then I can snip this bit off and repeat it all the way around. This does stretch a little bit, so if you do pull too tight, you'll notice that it will bend the card a little bit out of shape. Now you just want to make sure when you're doing this that you don't leave any little gaps. So this one here I'm going to push so that I can trim this off and ease that little bit inside. Now what I'm going to do is get my anti-static pouch, and I'm just going to put that round the inside of this frame to ease off some of the stickiness from the foam tape, and that will help stop all the little elements to stick to the edges. So it's time to take all of these sections off, ready to put all my shaker elements in. So I'm just going to pick these up and sprinkle them in, and remember to keep one for the top of the card. And you can see I've got some leg joints, I've got some bones that I've cut out, I've got his little skull to move around, and I'm just going to move the green ones up on top and put these little pieces in as well. Now that's quite full with all of that, so I really don't need to add too much to this. I've got some glitter here. I thought it might be fun to add a little bit of that. So I'm just going to scoop that out with the end of my spoon here and try not to get too much onto the sticky part. This is the bit that I always get a little bit nervous with. I don't want anything to land on top of the foam adhesive. And because there's quite a little bit of colour in there, I think what I'm going to do, I was going to add some beads, but they will tend to get stuck in between this and push up the shaker element a little bit. And I'll show you that in a moment with one that I did have a little bit of a play with and had to tweak somewhat. So I'm going to get some silver star confetti and just put a few of those around. Then I can get my acetate sheet and carefully put this on top. And I'm just pressing that down fairly well to make sure that it's adhered properly. And now you can see how the little bones all move around. So I do have some shapes already adhered to the bottoms. So no matter whether this is standing upright or not, you'll still have some of those shapes underneath. So I quite like how this looks. I like that the glitter has given, it's adhered a little bit to the acetate sheet, but it gives it that sort of smoky, spooky feel. So now all I need to do is attach this with some liquid glue, and then I'm just going to put something heavy on this for the glue to adhere. Before I show you the finished card and another project that I made with a totally different theme, I just want to mention some very exciting news. The creative design team are once again doing the 31 Days of Christmas cards. It's an event that runs from the 1st of October right through to the 31st of October. There will be a video posted every single day with one of us sharing a card design specifically for this membership group. All the details are on the screen now. Early bird pricing is available. I will have a link below to all the details so that if you want to register now, it's open for registration. As I said, early bird pricing is available, and that will be available until the 25th, and then it will revert to the normal pricing. So if you were a member last year, we would love to have you back again. It will be an exclusive private Facebook membership group, and I can't wait to get my Christmas on and to see what all the other girls are creating as well. It's going to be another fabulous event, and I'm so excited to be part of this again. So here's my finished skeleton shaker card. I know it says happy birthday, but as I said before, this is for a boy that I know whose birthday is right on Halloween. So you can see that all the pieces move around. Some of them get stuck down the bottom, but you can still shake and see everything that's happening, and finishing off the edges of these cards with little strips. It's a little bit finicky to do, but I think it's well worth it to finish off, especially when I've got a black frame on the outside. And on the inside, I've created a double mat with black cardstock and white cardstock, and I've stamped this little cobweb here, and then I just hand drew a line down rather than trying to line this one up all the way down, and I put the little spider on the bottom all ready for the greeting. The other project that I made is actually for a Father's Day card. I haven't caught up with my dad for Father's Day, which in Australia is in September, but I will be doing that very, very soon. So I have used the Barbecue Boss, and I've created this shaker card, and I put some of the sprinkles in there, but because they're a little bit bulky, that actually stops some of these elements sliding around quite so much. So that's why I adapted it with this one and just use a little bit of the glitter, which I think gives a really cool, spooky scene to these skeletons. But it has stopped these floating around a little bit. I did exactly the same technique. A couple of these are adhered to the card panel, and for this one here I did put some black cardstock to have everything really pop that bit more, because there's black, red, yellow and grey images, and I just thought it looked really good on top of the black, and the little sprinkles, they stand out really well on top of the black. And I've done exactly the same thing with the edges of this card. I've put little strips all the way around, and on the inside I've just put a little decoration down the bottom. I think it's really cool to have something on the inside of cards. It just finishes things off. You do all this effort for the top of them, why not have something special on the inside? So I hope you've enjoyed my take on the shaker cards and actually using stamped elements to shake around a little bit. It's been a lot of fun creating these, and I've enjoyed doing some slimline cards as well. As usual, I'll have a list below of all the elements that I've used, along with a link if you want to shop for these and create some of these. They are a lot of fun to do. And I'll also have a link to the playlist so that you can check out what the other members of the creative design team are doing for their shaker projects. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy crafting, and bye for now.